rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Well, it's award season, and you know what that means. All those celebrities getting that pain in their arm from reaching back there to pat themselves on the back for the next several months. But it also means that Star Wars alum might make an appearance, and we have several. Got Harrison Ford in that huge moment that really just had everybody talking, whether you were a Star Wars fan or Indiana Jones. It didn't matter if you were just a fan of, I think, living in the last 35, 40, 50 years of pop culture and entertainment. Everybody stopped to listen, if not the whole thing, to highlights of Harrison Ford's acceptance speech for that SAG Lifetime Achievement Award. Because you know, Harrison is a very, very humble guy. Some might say humble to a fault. I don't think you can ever be too humble. But Harrison's a very humble guy. He doesn't go in for all the Hollywood hoopla typically. He kind of stays away from it unless he's out there promoting something. And the last thing that Harrison Ford ever wants to do, it seems like, is promote himself. But that's exactly what he was doing. And I think he's enjoying this moment where he can look back on this career. He's still working. He joked about that. And just take, I guess this is sort of a victory lap for Harrison Ford. So anyway, we'll give you a highlight of that, plus George Lucas at the Saturn Awards. We'll find out what that was all about. Kathleen Kennedy also getting an award, and we'll talk about that. Plus more interview highlights coming up from Sam Witwer. We had him on with some highlights from him last week with Katie Sackhoff. Now he's on Pods of the Rebellion podcast talking Darth Maul. And an outrageous, unthinkable story that you do not want to miss because it is smoking. And you know someone else who's smoking, not that way, well, maybe that way, here on Rebel Force Radio. And by Rebel Force Radio, I mean, my name is Jason. And with me, as always, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Yeah, man. Hey, Star Wars fans. Welcome back to Rebel Force Radio. Oh, I did say, hey, Jason. That always accompanies, hey, Star Wars fans. Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. So I'll do it right next week. I'm distracted by, the idea that it is award season and what the RFR award show would look like, what the categories would be, best Kitster moment, best Star Wars Play-Doh set, best Star Wars couple, which I know will go to Cyril and Deidre. What are those two crazy kids up to these days? I'd like to know. I think
not much, if you know what I mean.
I think Cyril is 6 feet under.
Right, and, that's what he's up to.
Yeah.
6 feet underground.
Deidre's incarcerated.
Yeah.
A lot of people were assuming that once, they're like, well, what happens to Deidre once the Empire gets defeated? And it's like, what are you thinking? The New Republic's just going to empty out the prisons? That's not going to happen.
No.
Everyone's staying right where they are. That's not going to happen. Unless Palpatine somehow is granting pardons as a clone, it's not happening. So
I would imagine if these Imperials were so bad that they were locked up by other Imperials, that they're not necessarily ripe to be let out into polite society. Now, if you were incarcerated because you were a member of the rebellion, yeah, I think that the doors might swing. You might be getting that pardon from Chancellor Mothma. But, an Imperial.
But who's going to go through all of the justice records and figure
case
all
files.
that out? Yeah.
I think wasn't that Tim Meadows' job when he was on? Was that Mandalorian he was in?
Yeah. He processes all that stuff in between glasses of Courvoisier, of course, because he is the ladies' man. We all know this. I wonder if Deidre and Tim Meadows would be an interesting couple. But see, like, this is the stuff that we could discuss at the RFR Awards coming later this year.
Yeah. we should look into that. We'd have to come up with a pithy name for them, you know? Like kind of how the raspberries or the Razzies. What would ours be? Oh, we have to figure it out.
The Rebel Forces. I have no idea.
Idiot awards.
Before we announce that we're going to do an award show, we really need to tinker with this idea quite a bit. We need to woodshed it.
Yeah.
And
woodshed or wood shop? Maybe woodshed.
Woodshed, wood shop. I think those are interchange. That's a phrase where you could interchange those terms. I don't know. Woodshed, wood shop.
Well, one is you take somebody out behind the woodshed, and that usually implied a good spanking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking workshop, where you have to sort of test an idea or a concept.
Mm-hmm. Woodshed, wood shop,
workshop,
woodshed.
Wood.
Yeah, you know who slept in the shed is Carl from Sling Blade.
Mm-hmm. I reckon I'll sleep out in the shed. I done dug me up a hole and put some blankets and a pillar in there, you know. Mm-hmm.
So that's it for Carl. That's his only appearance of the year. He might come back, though, as a presenter in the RFR Forcey Awards or whatever we're going to
The Forcey Awards. God, it's so bad, it's good. All right, well, you don't have to wait that long to get Rebel Force Radio live because we are coming to Cleveland live. Mandalorian and Grogu After Show, May 23rd, 2026. Tickets are now on sale. You can get those by going to rebelforceradio.com, or you can go right to the venue, playhousesquare.org, and just search for Rebel Force Radio. I think we're right there on the old homepage, actually, so you can check that out. Tickets available as we speak right now for the big live after show, May 23rd, 2026, in the beautiful Upper Allen Theater. It's going to be great. 5:30 doors will open, and then we'll podcast from 6 to 8. And then we'll have an after party immediately following, within walking distance of the venue, quite comfortably, actually. And we'll make sure that anyone who buys a ticket will get all of those details so you don't miss a single happening. And just as a reminder, on the Friday before, May 22nd, we're going to do sort of an informal hang because it's sort of every person for themselves in terms of actually going to see the Mandalorian and Grogu film. Mac and I have to see it because we got to spend the next night talking about it. And it's probably going to be a lot more fun for you all if you've seen the film before you come to the after show. But I'm getting so excited. I was just in the venue today, actually, just looking around, thinking, in a couple of months here we're going to be Rebel Force Radio live.
And that's when you place the envelope under the lucky seat for the person who's going to win a new car. That's right. That's what you were doing, right?
Of course. Yeah. A new car.
There was a pause there as Jason was thinking to himself, what kind of mess is Jimmy Mac creating now?
Yeah, it's going to be one of those Hot Wheels.
Yeah,
you know, when they did the combination where, was it Hot Wheels? They did those Star Wars mashups. Those are really cool, actually. They still have those out. I love that. Yeah, Hot Wheels and Star Wars, but it's going to be Rebel Force Radio, Cleveland, Ohio. And there's a lot to do. I know it's a holiday weekend. People are going to be traveling. You can check out the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I wish the Guardians were in town. They're not. I know, Mac, that was something you were looking into maybe to catch a Guardians game, but they are not in town. But there's lots of stuff, and I think we're going to have, my fingers are crossed for really nice weather. Last time we were downtown Cleveland for a show, we had real nice weather. So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I know you are as well. I think Billy Mack, is he coming out for it as well?
Yeah, Billy will be there. Yeah. I just asked him. Oh, did you say Dylan or Billy?
I said Billy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Billy will be there.
The beans that Dylan's going to be there, because then
Dylan is planning on being there as well. Yeah, so it'll be great. Yeah, the Babu Freaks are planning on being there. And our RFR Patreon supporters went crazy over tickets this week. Thank you guys so much for burning up the box office. A lot of tickets flew out the door, but there's still plenty of seating available, so don't feel intimidated or anything. You can pick up a ticket right now. Just go to rebelforceradio.com, look for the Mandalorian and Grogu after show banner, and click on that, and that will take you to where you can purchase tickets. So tickets available, public on sale is happening now, so don't be shy. Get on it. It's a general admission event, so no stressing over getting a quality seat, because everyone's going to have a quality seat.
Yeah, this venue is fantastic. If you were at one of our the other place in Kennedy's, it was a flat floor. This is very raked, and Mac and I are kind of in this at the bottom of this bowl. So every seat's a good seat. You're going to be able to see everything, and I think it's just going to be. I think it's the perfect venue for us. So very much looking forward to it. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. So that's
May 23rd, the day after The Mandalorian and Grogu is released. So yeah, that'll give all of our attendees plenty of time to see the film, either on Friday night or on Saturday. There's no word if there's going to be like a Thursday night preview. That's something we have not anticipated at all. But that was the norm for big-time tentpole movies back in the day when people were actually going to the movie theater. So does that still happen now? Are there the Thursday night previews?
I would like to know, but I think we can proclaim this. As of now, Rebel Force Radio's Mandalorian and Grogu After Show have officially sold more tickets than the Mandalorian and Grogu film. As of right now. That could change in a couple weeks.
Yeah, but hey, we can't see the future, so we're just going to enjoy it in the moment. Yeah,
for sure.
Definitely outselling the film by a wide margin at this point. So
yeah. All right, before we get too full of ourselves, we should probably head over to listener mail, see what's going on for this.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message after the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
RFR, it's Jeremy from Austin, Texas here. Okay, my wife and little kids are a control group because they do not know that a Star Wars movie is coming out this summer. I sat next to them during the Super Bowl, and when the ad came on, they laughed and said, "Dad, Star Wars." They thought it was great. I talked to them afterwards, though, and I still don't think they know that a movie is coming out. Maybe it's a episode of the TV show or a gimmick, something like that. The average movie-going population needs to know that there's a big, epic movie they need to get excited about. So, the marketing, two things can be true at once. It can be clever and creative, but not effective. And that's what I think the Super Bowl ad was. The new trailer was a lot better at showing the grandeur, the scale, the characters, the story. And I think if that had been the Super Bowl ad, then my wife and kids would have said, "A big new Star Wars movie, Dad, we got to go see it." So that's what we want. They can't take their audience for granted like they have in the past. However, I do think it's cool that they've worked it out with Hasbro to actually get merch. We got toys, action figures, branded Mandalorian and Grogu on the shelves. Looks like in April. So we haven't had that in a while. That's neat. I'm excited to hear you guys talk about all of this. Take care.
Oh, I love focus groups. You got to focus group the family. Great marketing starts right at home. And I would say, Jeremy, I totally agree with you, the difference between clever and creative versus effective. And that, I think, is something that anyone who's in marketing or publicity, you have to wrestle with. However, I want to take a issue with just one thing that you said, which is the average movie-going public doesn't know about this. And I would push back. I'd say if you are going to movies, and we heard a Rebel Force Radio listener from a RFR listener a couple weeks ago saying, "Hey, I go to the movies all the time. I've seen the trailer multiple times. I see the movie poster hanging up in the lobby." I think the word is out there. And so I think if you're an average movie theater going person, you probably do know. However, it's the rest. It's the people that those big tentpole movies pull them into the theaters, maybe only a couple times a year. They're the ones that I think maybe are at risk for not knowing that another Star Wars movie is coming out. That's who I see kind of in the middle that they're not reaching.
Right. And I find it interesting that Jeremy's family, even after seeing that Super Bowl commercial, still didn't get the message. They didn't understand that The Mandalorian and Grogu are going to be back in theaters. And that could be the case with a lot of people because most people are very accustomed to The Mandalorian being a streaming show. I like the Forged for IMAX tagline. I do like that a lot because it gives you a sense of urgency that, hey, if I watch this at home, it's not going to be the same experience. And I think Avatar did that really effectively last year with that third Avatar film. See it on the biggest screen possible.
Yes.
They give you a sense of urgency and they install instant FOMO when they say things like that because you know that watching it at home is not going to be doing it justice. So I think I would, and I've said this, God, I feel like I've been saying this for a year or two now. I really think that with their marketing, they should lean on that quite a bit. But the marketing still seems rather tempered down and not so much in your face as we are traditionally used to with Star Wars film releases. We would be seeing Star Wars everywhere at this point if this was like a saga film. But it isn't. It's one of those, spin-off kind of things. And The Mandalorian could quite possibly carry Star Wars for several more years into the future, depending on the success of this film. Or it could wrap up everything and we won't see or hear anything from The Mandalorian again for a long time.
We don't
Which
know.
I think is possible. I mean, it all rides on the success of this film.
Yeah.
It really does. And, critical acclaim could be really strong for it, but it all comes down to cold, hard cash in the eyes of the House of the Mouse. And they want to see big numbers for The Mandalorian and Grogu. They expect big numbers from any Star Wars film. Crap, they expect $1 billion from any Star Wars film. I think maybe that culture has shifted a little bit at Disney, and that's why they didn't throw $500 million into this film. It's operating on a shooting budget of under $175 million from what we understand. So the pressure is off a little bit to get that $1 billion mark. If they do hit it, though, wouldn't it be interesting if then they just go right back to overspending on their movies again? Like The Mandalorian and Grogu 2 has a budget of $600 million.
Right.
And it flops. Naturally, it flops.
Of course.
Because, Hollywood keeps making the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know what the exact number would be for this film to be considered a success enough to get a sequel greenlit and into production. What is that number? And if it makes good money, but the critical response is meh, is that going to affect the future?
Right. And you also have Starfighter out there, which is, I think, potentially creating a bit of a race, maybe in terms of box office, to see what type of story is the future of Star Wars going to be on the big screen? Is it going to be new original stuff like Starfighter with brand new characters? Or does there have to be some continuity with better known characters? But something you mentioned, Jim, about Avatar and how clever they were about, and explicit they were about the experience being better on the largest screen. There are two ad campaigns that I thought did it absolutely the best. The first is going back to 1997 and the release of the original trilogy in theaters. If you've only seen Star Wars like this, you haven't seen it at all, right? There was that one. There was also another one, which was the South Park movie bigger, louder, uncut. And I remember going to the theater and seeing this preview, and it was Cartman. He's like, "Yes, look at this. I'm huge. Yes, I'm huge." And I thought, okay, so you've got little Grogu, and how cute would it be if all of a sudden you see this shadow of little Grogu who ain't so little anymore, and he's ginormous because he's coming onto this big screen. I'm so with you that they could have really played this up and kind of like given us a throwback. If you've only seen The Mandalorian like this, sitting on your couch, watching it on your flat screen, you've never seen The Mandalorian. I think we're ripe for a little throwback to that old special edition campaign. They could have brought it out for this.
That's when they were making trailers with style, and the trailers were like vastly different from each other. They all kind of fit the film that they were promoting. Nowadays,
they weren't
all the trailers look the same. They all use that sound effect when they cut from different clips. And it always sounds like somebody slamming the car door of a 75 Buick, and it loses. It's so homogenized the way that films are marketed as far as their trailers go. I think there's one production house in all of Hollywood that creates these trailers, because I can't explain the consistency. Everything, remember the most annoying thing was when the franchises were really starting to take off, and that's all we were seeing at the movie theater time and time again. And they bring back these old franchises like Ghostbusters. And you'd be like, oh, look, they brought back Ghostbusters. But instead of playing the theme, they would play the sad piano sound. Like for Ghostbusters, it's like ding, 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 ding. It's like, wow, what a bummer. I'm so excited to see this movie now. It's like a toy piano sound. And
it's like, oh, this is going to really, we're just going to turn this tune on its head and strip it down.
Yeah. Or they'll play it back in the minor key. It's like, what are you doing here? This is Ghostbusters, for crying out loud. It's supposed to be upbeat and in your face. But they think that they're tugging on those member berries by doing it. It's
the nostalgia
on your emotional connection to the nostalgia and everything, and I think that's bogus. I think that, and that's a problem Star Wars has been having, is too much reliance on nostalgia, and these studios cultivate all that stuff. If you guys didn't cultivate so much nostalgia and just concentrated on quality storytelling and moving things forward, then everything would fall into place. But instead, it's also gimmicky with the nostalgia, or even subverting expectations is a gimmick when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah.
I know what I just said contradicts itself, but I'm allowed to do that as a Star Wars fan. That's what we do best.
Yeah, it is funny how they on the one hand, they want to mine the power of nostalgia by taking these stories and characters that mean so much to people, particularly Gen X. I don't think there's ever been a generation that has been so influenced by film and television characters and stories than, I think, but more so than any other generation. My grandmother used to talk about, the big movie stars back in the day. But but she would talk about the stars. She wouldn't necessarily talk about the films themselves or the stories themselves. The movie stars were sort of the thing. I'm going to go see the latest James Cagney movie, right? And that's what I'm going to go see the new Wayne picture. Mm-hmm. And it was almost like the movie or the story was secondary to the star. But in our generation, it was all about the story, to the point where George wanted to hire these unknowns and all of this stuff. So they mine this nostalgia, and they know how important it is to us, and they stick it out there, and then they get mad at us because we're too hard on them. You know what I mean? Like, they're taking some of the most precious memories that we had as children, young adults, whatever, and then wondering why we're so picky.
After their mismanagement,
Right, of course.
That happens, and it's happened all over the place throughout Hollywood. Maybe just it's just a transitional period for show business. And,
I think it is.
Yeah, and who knows how Hollywood is going to end up landing on its feet, if they even can. But I think the power of storytelling and film is still very strong. And I think this little hiccup, post-pandemic hiccup with people not going to the theaters, maybe that's a little overblown, because they certainly did go out to that Avatar movie. And I'm not going to credit the marketing for that. I think that people believe that seeing Avatar in a theater is the only way to see it. That's what I think is going on.
Yeah.
And it's even beyond the marketing. It's been going on since the first film came out and really ushered in the entire craze of 3D films, like 15 years ago or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it established its identity and its reputation by being that must-see in theaters event. And it still hasn't shed that. It still carries that on pretty strongly. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think Star Wars still has that pedigree. I mean, I think that people realize that Star Wars is something that you have to see in the theaters, and we just got to get the word out that there's a new Star Wars movie in theaters to go see. The holiday weekend is certainly going to help, and I have a feeling that it will ramp up big time on television. The ad spots, I think you're going to start seeing a lot more. They're pretty notorious for having a lot of those little TV trailers that we end up reviewing ad nauseum here, on RFR. So, and they usually give them like little names, like who knows?
It's already started. There's one out there now.
Is there one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it repeats too much of the same imagery we see in the trailer. There are a couple of little quick glimpses at things, like you see a Hutt threatening Din Djarin, saying something like, "When we're done with you, he's next," meaning Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another scene where Grogu spits up something. It's typical stuff.
Yeah.
Typical stuff. And then at the end, he appears in front of the title, and he sort of uses the Force on the title,
Oh, that's cute.
Like,
I like that.
shakes
He's
around
interacting
or
with the
something.
logo or something. Okay.
Yeah. So,
Little
I mean,
minions.
we could have broke that down here.
We just did.
We just did, yeah. There it is.
There's a new Rotta the Hutt photo that Empire, I think, released. Empire magazine.
This is true. I forgot all about that.
Yeah. Well, it's because someone put out one that apparently was AI, and people were ragging on it, saying that it didn't look good or whatever. And then Lucasfilm, I think, was like, "Hey, let's get this out through Empire." And some people were saying, "Oh, the AI one looked better." I thought the one that Lucasfilm put out looked insanely better. At least in terms of the clarity, you could actually see the AI one was a little bit fuzzy, but this one's much better. And it's still a Hutt's got abs. It's a CG Hutt. Mm-hmm. The texture of the skin, I will say, not to get like too in the weeds here, but I thought the texture of the skin looked really good and certainly made it feel like it was a living, breathing thing that I was looking at. So we'll see. Still can't get over the fact that it's a buff Hutt, but it's all in the context. I'm just gonna go and have fun. Have fun.
In 2015, when Marvel Comics reacquired the Star Wars IP, one of those early stories they released, I think it was in the Vader comic, from Kieran Gillen or Gillen. I forget that guy's name. Kieran Gillen. And he created this Hutt called Gracus the Hutt. Mm-hmm. And Gracus is a spitting image of Rotta the Hutt. I mean, they're plagiarizing themselves by taking this character and making it Rotta the Hutt. Gracus the Hutt. And I'm not like saying they're plagiarizing themselves. Shame on them. No, not at all. Not at all. It's kind of an interesting image. I haven't really experienced too much pushback from the buff Hutt, or swole Hutt, as people have been calling it. When did swole become a term that we use on Star Wars characters? I don't know. But
I don't know.
I haven't seen any pushback on that. But I was just remembering Gracus the other day, and I looked him up.
Sounds like more like a Klingon than a Hutt. Gracus.
Gracus. Do you have any images of Gracus?
I don't. I have. I just wanted to pull this up.
But he's got the 6-pack or the 8-pack. I mean, he looks just identical to the way Rotta is being presented in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I don't. Let me look up the Gracus. I was pulling up the photo from Empire Magazine, trying to get.
Yeah, it's a great shot. I mean, Rotta looks about 5 stories tall in the shot, and it's him in that gladiator combat arena that we believe is like live action hollow chess. Dejeric, if you guys want the proper terminology. I prefer hollow chess to Dejeric. I prefer Rebel Blockade Runner to Tantive 4. I prefer Walrus Man to Ponda Baba. Or Bada. Ponda Bada. Is it Bada or Baba? It's Baba, yeah. Didn't we just go through this recently? And I prefer Hammerhead to Moma Nadon, or whatever his name is.
Moma Nadon?
Moma. Didn't Moma used to play third base for the Red Sox back in the early aughts? Well, there's a shot of the great Rotta the Hutt. And I love the weaponry.
Say that again. I'm sorry, Jim.
I love the weaponry, the giant axes. They're huge, those axes.
Yeah, they remind me of the axes that the Gamorreans used to carry in Jabba's palace a little bit, but definitely a gladiator's weapon.
He's huge. He got giant shoulders, giant biceps.
Yeah.
And he is swole and looking good. I can't wait to see Rotta the Hutt in this film, actually. This is some of the stuff that has me the most excited. I have the feeling this gladiator arena segment is one of the segments that'll have people talking the most after leaving the theaters. And again, it reminds me a little bit of one of the best scenes from Thor Ragnarok, and that's when Thor encountered Hulk in a gladiator arena. And then they hung out afterwards, which I always enjoyed, like Hulk's in a hot tub. And, I'd like to see Rotta in a hot tub, actually.
I think I got Gracus here.
Well, there's probably like a salve you can use for it.
Gracus is flaring up on me.
Yeah, you got that Gracus on your elbow again. Yeah, you can just. I have something for that. But let's see your Gracus. Whip out your Gracus. We want Jason's Gracus. Let's see.
All right, hold on. It's coming.
Yeah, but we want to see Gracus. Da Hutt.
Almost got him here.
Are you like caging a live one or something? It's like...
No, it's just a little bit different setup, and I'm relying on. There's a lot of bandwidth being used.
I should have produced this whole segment like I had planned to, but I had forgotten about the photo that was released, so it didn't end up on our proper show rundown. So here we are now in this Gracus vortex, swirling around, When will we get Gracus? We want Gracus.
Give us Gracus. You got Gracus right here. This is Gracus.
That's Gracus from a video game, it looks like.
Yeah. Well, I was seeing Bobby Moynihan's name brought up every time I was looking up Gracus here.
Oh, so
did Bobby do the mocap for Gracus?
Or the voice, probably.
Well, I'm seeing it in full mocap.
That is so strange. I've never seen Gracus being presented as a video game character, and he doesn't look like he's in great shape in this particular freeze frame. But this must be from one of those Star Wars VR games that you can only play at locations like
it's Star
Disney
Wars
Springs.
Beyond Victory. and he
What's
was
that?
voiced by Bobby Moynihan.
Bobby Moynihan is currently in the new Tracy Morgan show. I think it's called something like The Legacy of Reggie Dinkins.
Yeah,
or
he's like
something.
he's
a former
retired football player. Yeah, it's great. Daniel Radcliffe's in it. It's pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, I mean, Radcliffe gets lost in that role. You're not sitting there watching it saying to yourself, oh, Harry Potter. No, it's like he becomes a whole different character.
Oh, yeah.
He's this documentary director. And Bobby's in it, and Tracy is great in it. I mean, he's just full on Tracy Morgan, and screaming his lines at the top of his lungs. You know?
Oh, I saw a recent interview with Bobby Moynihan about this TV series, and he was talking about working with Tracy, and he's like, it doesn't matter whether the cameras are on or off. That's Tracy.
Yeah.
The whole time you're with,
right.
You're with him. He's the same guy when the cameras are rolling versus when they're not. And then he was talking about Radcliffe, and he said, you go, it doesn't matter whether it's, the camera guy or who it is. Anytime he's with Daniel Radcliffe and he's meeting someone for the first time, he sits there and goes 1,000, 2 1,000. And that's how quickly it takes for somebody to mention Harry Potter.
Harry Potter,
yeah.
Sure, yeah.
It's just, inescapable. Can't do it.
Well, yeah, very
He says
much.
it never not comes up, he says. Never not comes up.
Especially with, Radcliffe still resembling the character so much. Yeah, sure, he's got facial hair now and what have you. But he still, to me, resembles Harry Potter. But his acting is so good on the show, he becomes a whole different person. And I really like that. I'm not sitting there watching that show thinking to myself, Harry Potter constantly.
No.
But I'm not the world's biggest Harry Potter guy either, so... maybe other viewers feel differently depending on how intense their Potter fandom is. Like, if you declare you're from the house of Ravencroft or Ravenclaw.
Claw. Yeah, Ravenclaw.
If you're somebody who has an association with a certain house, then probably all you'll see is Harry Potter on this show, But for somebody who's a very casual Harry Potter consumer, I don't see Harry Potter very much, and I attribute that to the great acting from Radcliffe. So it's worth checking out. Reggie Dinkins, I think it's on NBC.
Yeah.
New episodes Monday night. It's a good show. You will not see Gracus the Hutt in that show.
No.
Unfortunately. Nor will you see Rotta. You don't see Rotta either. But there is talk that he'll be making a guest appearance later this season. So stay tuned.
Yeah. I'm actually seeing that Gracus is so popular that there's like 3D print patterns that you can download to have your own Gracus the Hutt action figure. Here's one of them here. If you want to get a Gracus, there it is. It's not the best detailed, but
if there should be a comic book panel that just jumps up right away at you when you punch it in. That one that looks the most like Rotta the Hutt, the Gracus comic book panel. If you could find that, because these are alternate Gracuses you're presenting.
Alternate Gracuses.
Yeah. I want the real deal.
Okay,
here.
I think I've got the one you're talking about here, because it came up in this Bobby Moynihan story. And I see Moynihan, wearing the mocap suit. So let me grab this one because this looks like it's from the page of a comic book.
And if you pull up the page, you'll clearly see the abs. That's what we're here for, ladies and gentlemen, are the abs. That's where our Star Wars fan, almost 50 years of fandom, has led us to this moment. Abs on a slug. That's what we're here for. And we're not leaving until we get it. We want Gracus. We want Gracus. Give us Gracus. By the way, how's that flare up of Gracus treating you right now? Did it calm down at all?
It has calmed down. Wait a minute. Does he have spider legs? What's going on? Is this the one you were talking about?
What are you? Where are you getting your Gracus imagery from? What is this?
I need a new Gracus dealer.
This
was the first image when I Googled it. Gracus the Hutt.
You're using some alternate weird Google
I
search
swear
engine.
to God, I'm not.
Are you spelling it correctly? Grakkus.
Absolutely. It is literally the first thing, the first image that comes up.
Yeah, there's a lot of Gracus action going on here that I was very unaware of.
There is a lot of Gracus action. You're just not into the Gracus scene like you used to be.
I guess
You've been
not.
out of it
That was
for a while.
Yeah, is very 2015. Let's face it. But I give up. I give up with all of this. Again, it's not the six-pack I'm looking for. And we have to move on. This is what happens, ladies and gentlemen, when the segment is unproduced prior to the show, when we just go in blind. And that's why you're probably saying to yourself, why is Jason and Jimmy suddenly sounding like all the other Star Wars podcasts? Well, the reason is we did not prepare for this segment. And as you know, Jason, failure to prepare is to prepare for failure.
Indeed.
And that's our Gracus the Hutt, Rotta the Hutt comparison segment. A failure. I just
Good
gave
Lord.
us an F.
Did we actually answer Jeremy's question? Jeremy's like, I didn't even ask about Gracus the Hutt. I was asking about the marketing of the Mandalorian movie.
This is true, yeah. Well, I understand in April things are really going to kick into high gear with merch on the shelves.
Yeah.
And probably saturation of television spots and advertising. Maybe you'll start spotting billboards on your commute into work. Or I love the bus shelters. For some reason, that always gets me very excited. If I see a Mandalorian and Grogu bus shelter, I'll pull over and I'll camp out in there for a couple hours probably. Just hanging out, me and a Playmate cooler and a Playmate. Yeah, so that's how I do it. But look for April. Yeah.
Yeah, April for sure. The merch is already leaking out, at least in terms of some of the Hasbro stuff. People are catching that. And it will be nice to see a proper line of action figures and toys with the movie on it, as opposed to just generic Star Wars. But before we move on, we do have a birthday here. So this came from Andrea Setmeyer. She says, my husband Adam is a huge RFR fan and listens to you all the time, which means I listen in occasionally too. She sounds kind of reluctant there, but I'd love to surprise him with a birthday shout out. He turns 45 on March 13th. Thanks for considering. Well, consider it your wish granted. Happy birthday, Adam, from us here at Rebel Force Radio. Wishing you all the best. 45, you're just getting started. So make this the best year yet.
Today is your birthday on Friday the 13th. And your wife is super cool for sending this to us. And that's the only way you're getting a birthday shout out, is because your amazing, awesome wife has requested it. We're not bringing back birthday shout outs here on RFR. I just want to make that clear. Unless, of course, your wife is, in private, sneaky, gets us a message, and then we'll say happy birthday to you. But it has to come from your wife. And she occasionally listens. God bless you. Yeah. Thanks for listening, Andrea. We really appreciate it. And Adam, too, I guess. But I always like to really show a lot of proper respect to the wives of us Star Wars fans and Rebel Force Radio listeners here.
Very tolerant bunch. Those wives.
Yeah, and you guys make it possible for us to be the fans we want to be, and you often do so without judgment. Sometimes there's a little judgment mixed in there, but hey, that's okay. We expect it as adult Star Wars fans to take our lumps from time to time, but you guys make it possible for us to really fully blossom as Star Wars fans, and you let us do it. You don't stand in our way. You appreciate the passion we have, and sometimes like Andrea does, you share that passion and listen to Rebel Force Radio, or you attend the movies with us and or even go to the conventions and stuff, or help us collect. You know, I mean, I still get messages from Wendy when she's out and about thrifting. She's an expert thrifter, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, they see they're inside the Goodwill and they see her coming and they're all like, "Oh boy, here comes the cyclone." But if she spots Star Wars stuff out on the shelf, she'll snap a photo of it and send it to me and just say, "Looking for something like this." And 9 times out of 10, I'm not. But every once in a while, we strike gold. It's just a small example of how the wives of Star Wars fans are so important, because you let us do what we love to do, and sometimes make it even easier for us to do what we love to do. So thank you. We love you. We love Andrea. We love Adam. Happy birthday, Adam. You're 45. So there's no turning back now. Star Wars fan for life. And, you know, he's one of those guys who remember when it was only the original trilogy back in the day, when we were going through those dark times with no Star Wars and everything. Now you're getting it every week here on RFR. Next month we have an animated show, Darth Maul. And then the month after that we have The Mandalorian and Grogu. You know, we're only 10 weeks away from that film opening.
Crazy. It's right here. It's like happening now. All right, happy birthday, Adam.
Happy birthday to you. Yeah. All right.
Before we get into, we're going to check in with Patreon, see what's going on there. But I just want to make a mention that I will be at Fan Expo Cleveland this weekend. Yeah, at the convention center. Hayden Christensen's going to be there. But I'm taking my daughter to her very first con. And she's going to cosplay. She and her boyfriend are going to be, I don't know, some anime characters. I have no idea. All I know is that I bought her the costume and the contact lenses and the wig and the whole thing. But I'm probably going to regret it. But anyway, we're going to have a good time. We're going to go out both Saturday and Sunday. So if you're going to be at Fan Expo Cleveland, you might see me. I don't know. I'm not going to have like a booth or anything, but, you know,
But
say hi.
what's the name of the anime characters? What are they from?
I have no idea.
Oh, rats. Because we can say, look for those characters.
Oh, yeah.
And you might find a swank.
She has pink hair. She has pink eyes.
What color is your hair going to be at the convention?
Little gray, actually, on the sides
Just a
at least.
Just a touch of gray. But that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But anyway, we're looking forward to it. I can't wait to. She's never seen like a big show like this, so she's going to go nuts at Artist Alley, and there's some voiceover actors or voice actors from some of the animes that she likes, and so yeah, we're gonna have a good time.
Well, that's exciting. That is exciting. Gosh, I can't remember the last time you made an announcement that you were going to just regular pop culture convention like that. So.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the last con you were at? Star Wars
with
Celebration
you
2022. Yeah.
Well, no, that wasn't the last one I was at. Yeah, I mean, the last regular one was actually before it was Fan Expo Cleveland. It was Cleveland Comic Con. You and I were there before the world fell apart back there in 2020.
But we went to Star Wars Celebration after
Oh, yeah,
that.
yeah. I thought you were talking about general outside of Star Wars. Yeah. So that would have been
we had a purpose. We were asked to be at that convention.
We sure were.
You know, this is the first time you've ever taken it upon yourself.
I'm going as a civilian.
Yeah, right. A card-carrying member of the public.
That's right.
Jason Q.
Citizen.
So yeah, keep your eye open for Swank. And Jason, if you see any interesting Star Wars stuff or cosplay, snap some photos. Let's review the show.
Absolutely, would love to. And if Hayden Christensen is listening right now and you got a little downtime, 10, 15 minutes, would love to talk to you.
Yeah, you'd love Swank. You don't know what you're missing, Hayden. You really don't. And Hayden will be taking breaks because, and this topic is going to come up later in the show, but Hayden, from what I believe, I think he still is a cigarette smoker. So just stand outside the autograph hall and just wait for him to appear in some random loading dock. That's usually where they go, like places like the loading dock and stuff.
Yeah, look for that.
You know, and he'll be burning a heater in there.
Well, let's check in with Patreon. There's always something new and exciting going on in Patreon. If a weekly RFR isn't enough to satiate you, well, you're in luck because there is Patreon.
There's always stuff going on Patreon. We release more stuff than I can even keep up with, and I'm the one releasing it all. So, I mean, geez. But we have RFR Q&A this week with Rebel Force Radio VIP fan favorite Turtle Wars, Chris Hagen. And Chris presents us with Star Wars adult film parodies. He breaks them all down.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow.
The research that went into this was long and hard. And he pumped out a lot of interesting insights and highlights from Star Wars adult film parodies from over the years.
No fluff here. No fluff.
No fluff from RFR VIP Chris Turtle Wars Hagen, esteemed reptile expert, Star Wars superfan, and aficionado of the naughty. And it's fun. I mean, we do all of this stuff with a lot of humor, and it's outside of a little innuendo here and there. It's nothing too dirty, but
I'm really looking forward to that full show video of this one. Whoa.
So that's what's happening there. Star Wars adult film parodies. This is a topic that needed to be breached here on Rebel Force Radio. I remember it was like back in 2010. We were talking to Bonnie Burton, and I said to Bonnie, it was an interview, and I said, so it's been announced that Star Wars XXX is going to be released in a few months. So what do you think about that? And Bonnie's like, holy cow, you can't ask me about that. I'm a Lucasfilm representative. We're not supposed to talk about that kind of stuff. What's the matter with you? And I'm like, so you haven't seen it then? She's like, I'm not going to talk about that. I could lose my job for talking about that. What are you, crazy? And I said, well, Bonnie, I am a little bit. I am. Crazy for Star Wars and crazy for Star Wars adult film parodies. So, what's interesting is Turtle Wars discovered that the very first Star Wars parody ever was an adult film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was called Babe Wars, and it was released 2 months that same summer, 1977, as Star Wars. It's got a cantina sequence and everything.
I mean, porn does lead the way a lot of times. If you're introducing a new home media format, you need porn to embrace it. I mean, it's why VHS won over... the big VH1 or VHS in beta wars. It's one of the reasons why Laserdisc never took off. And it's certainly the reason that Blu-ray outsold what was the alternative to Blu-ray? The
DivX or something.
No, that was DVD and DivX. That was another one. No, that was another one. DVD beat DivX.
Yeah.
Because of porn, and then there was Blu-ray versus HD DVD. I think that's what it was called.
Something like that. Right.
So yeah, they got to get that porn muscle, and of course now it's all streaming, so it's out the window. But
which muscle exactly is the porn muscle? Can you please describe, or maybe even show it to us if you can?
I'm
hey,
touching
Jason,
it right now.
So wow,
you can't see it.
You can't smell it.
Blame Turtle Wars for all this, folks. Blame Turtle Wars.
Yeah, for sure. He's one of our top VIPs and purveyor of the smut, apparently. But no, it's all in good fun. And
Professor Smut.
It's a historical perspective, so
Yes.
it's very legitimate. A very legitimate breakdown. And of course, this week, our Patreon supporters got first crack at those Mandalorian and Grogu after show live tickets, and they ate them up. And we're really excited to be seeing, reuniting with a lot of our audience members, several of whom were with us at RFR at Rancho Obi-Wan this past September. We're all getting together again in Cleveland on May 23rd for the Mandalorian and Grogu after show, and we'll have a few surprises for you guys there. You know, a few RFR Live trademarks will be present, and it's going to be a blast. So anytime we get the gang together, we have a great time, and we want you there. So go get your tickets now to RFR Live in Cleveland. You can find tickets at rebelforceradio.com. That's where you find the link to tickets, at least. And at patreon.com/rebelforceradio, you'll find Star Wars adult film parodies, RFR Q&A number 286, our big release this week. That's what she said. And that doesn't even make any sense, but whatever. At that speed, will you be able to pull out in time? All right, this is just going into the toilet now.
I have good news for you, my lord.
That's good news.
Come closer, I have good news.
All right. We've got good news. It's always good news when the maker himself is appearing here on Rebel Force Radio. And George Lucas got a big prize at the Saturn Awards. And I have to confess, I don't really know what the Saturn Awards are. I'm assuming they're some sort of sci-fi or fantasy or sci-fi fantasy film awards.
That's it.
Is that what it is?
You nailed it.
Okay.
You nailed it. That's
all right.
it. Yeah.
Because I feel like we have covered these awards in the past. There have been other Star Wars moments happening at them. But so George Lucas got a big one.
Yeah, they gave him some sort of Lifetime Achievement Award. And he got up and made a speech. It was Mark Hamill who presented him with the award. And there were a bunch of Star Wars people in the audience. Not, original trilogy people. The only people there representing the original trilogy were George and Mark. But Katie Sackhoff was there. Our buddy Todd Stashwick was in the crowd. And there were some other notable Star Wars people there as well. But we do have George's speech. George gave a speech. I don't know where this was broadcasted. Maybe it was streaming or whatever, but we have the clip of George accepting his Saturn Award.
Thank you so much, because I'm here because of you. This is,
Looks like a small crowd.
I've disappeared from the real world because I'm working on a museum, and it's been 5 years, and, it doesn't let me get out much because I have to fly from San Francisco down to here and then back up to there. And
I got to pause a second. George has been working in the museum business for 5 years, and Jim, he's already miserable, right?
Oh, God. And he has to fly down from all the way from San Francisco to L.A. What he left out is in his private jet.
Yes.
Right. What's that? What's that, a 45-minute flight, George? Is it really killing you? I spend an hour and a half in my car every day just driving to downtown Chicago. You're flying to L.A. and you make it there quicker than I do to my job.
Yeah, he doesn't get out much, he says.
Mr. Museum Curator. Maybe if you didn't fire all of the people who were president of your museum, you wouldn't have to do all this work. But they went through I don't know, 6 or 7 museum directors.
Yeah.
Throughout this entire, journey, which has been going on for 15 years now. But George has only been really hands-on the last 5 years, he's saying, because that's when the fun stuff started to happen, filling out the galleries and determining what
he let those other
display.
guys, get in there and do all the boring administrative work and filing all the papers and determining the provenance of the various items. But when it came time to actually doing a little decorating of those exhibits, that's when George was like, oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Put fuel in the jet. We're going to L.A. And so off they go. We're going to fly all the way down. Oh, God, it's just,
being me.
Put me in a metal bikini and call me a slave.
All right, here's more George.
It's like making a movie, only worse.
Oh my goodness!
As if on cue. Making movies made this man a multi-billionaire. Yeah, it's worse than making a movie that makes
every minute of it. Gosh, man, that comment. That comment went on. It tagged the end of our conversation with it's like perfect punctuation right there.
Oh my Lord! Yes. All right, more George.
But I thank you for all your encouragement. I thank you for your, just being here. And, it's a funny thing to go this far. Yeah, I'm at that point now where I always said, you're not really getting old until you get 80. And then you start looking like you're old. So I'm old now, but
look at that hair. Can you imagine having that much hair at 80?
He looks great, man.
He does look great.
If he shaved off that beard and kept the mustache, the guy would be Mark Twain.
Yeah.
He would look just like Mark Twain.
Well, now that Val Kilmer's gone, I'm going to go on tours.
Yeah. Maybe
Twain.
he can embrace that. Yeah, he can embrace that. Cultivate a whole Mark Twain thing. Call me Samuel Clemens. That's why. I don't need any pen name. But yeah, if you just went just mustache only, he has the upper lip that creates a very nice Mark Twain mustache facsimile. And I think
I love the fit too. He's got that nice white button down with like a shawl, cardigan, sweater. He looks great. Yeah.
Yeah. Stylish.
This award means a lot to me. I have the other one, which is another one, which is a big one like that. But
there's a little one. Oh, look at Tom Cruise is in the audience.
Yeah.
Dang, at the Saturn Awards.
He sure is. He sure is.
Tom Cruise.
I want you to keep your ears open because toward the end of this clip, you'll hear Tom Cruise yell something from the crowd at George.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So keep your ears open for that.
I think it's a Saturn Award. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I got so many awards.
I only have 3 awards. This is one of them now.
This is one of them. I got. It's like, of all the awards that I've ever gotten, this is one of them.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Exactly. And it seems like he liked the other one he got from the Saturn Awards a little more.
Yeah, it was bigger.
Like, it was like this. This one's like this, and that one's like this. He's gesturing with his hands. He looks like somebody who's like describing the fish he caught. Yeah. It's this big, this big.
Yeah, this is going to be a doorstop in the museum.
You just go to the tech building at Skywalker Ranch, and you go to the tech building, and it's just like holding a door open.
Wait, is that George's Saturn Award?
Yeah. It's in the bathroom, holding a door open.
They love him, though. They love him. Oh, James Cameron's in the back there, too. I just saw James Cameron at a table. Wow, star-studded.
We get some heavy hitters at this show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm here because of you, and I thank you very much. And my wife said, make it short.
We thank you, George.
Oh, was that Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
Oh, Tom Cruise. We'll run this back just so everyone can hear. I think he says, we thank you, George.
Yeah.
My wife said, make it short.
We thank you, George.
We do thank you, George. Yes,
that was nice.
Thank you, George. That was very nice.
Now Cruise, I've seen him come under some criticism by people online who are saying, oh, Tom Cruise, he has to inject himself. It's always about Tom Cruise all the time. But that felt like a really genuine moment. And George was kind of, this wasn't a speech that George spent any time preparing whatsoever.
Not even 30 seconds in the black car that was taking him there.
Yeah. And he just, he was winging it. You could tell. And that's fine. I prefer that sort of genuine response as opposed to a pre-prepared statement. But Tom Cruise saw the opening there as George was, kind of running out of things to say and taking a very pregnant pause. And, Tom showed his appreciation. In that cutaway where they showed him in the audience, Tom seemed very focused on what George was saying. Yes. He seemed super engaged in the presentation. He seemed enthusiastic and energetic, and he just couldn't help himself. I think a lot of us, if we were in that position and we had the cloud of a Tom Cruise and couldn't get thrown out, we would yell something. It's not heckling and it's not grandstanding. I felt like it was a legitimate, heartfelt moment from Tom Cruise.
I agree. I absolutely agree, and I'll be as hard on these Hollywood folks as the next guy. But I think I totally agree, and I also think that Tom Cruise, we know this, with the amount of blood, sweat, tears, and everything else he puts into filmmaking, George Lucas has to have been a massive influence on him with the kind of filmmaker Tom Cruise is. So I'm absolutely with you. I'm convinced that it came from a truly place of love and honor for someone who he admires greatly.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, when you think of faster, more intense, there are a few people in Hollywood who embody that more than Tom Cruise. So
someone who was also aging quite well in his own right.
He's aging in reverse, that guy. He's got one of those hyperbaric chambers that he goes into or something. I don't know what his secret is, but
yeah.
Or maybe it's just that he does what he loves all the time, and that keeps him young.
I think that's true.
There's a lot to be said for that. So congrats, George.
Congrats, George. All right, another congratulations in order. Kathleen Kennedy getting a Golden Reel Award. I guess she's also getting is this a lifetime achievement thing?
Yeah, it's an honorary award that she received from the Motion Picture Sound Editors at their annual Golden Reel Awards
this is
in
for
LA.
Sound editors. Interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And so after she received her award backstage, she talked to Variety about The Mandalorian and Grogu. And they asked her, we don't have audio of this is a print interview only, but they asked her what it's like the first time she heard Grogu speak. And she says that, Grogu is a perfect example of a character that has to emote and you have to feel connected to, and he never speaks a word. She confirmed that he never says a word in the upcoming film. They pressed her on this, and she says, on the big screen, he never says a word. And so she confirms there will be no English coming out of Grogu. We'll get a bunch of guaps and bwaps and the things that he says, and we're just going to have to try to read between the lines, I guess. But
I think a lot of people thought, Jim, that this was going to be the moment. That this movie was going to be the moment where he said his first word, Dada.
I predict, despite what Kathy Kennedy says, because this woman has been lying through her teeth about Star Wars for the last 13 years, ever since she took control of Star Wars. Everything that's come out of her, well, not everything, but she certainly has been very generous in supplying us with a bunch of BS. And so I predict once again, this is BS too, because she doesn't want to spoil the surprise. Why is she going to say, oh, yeah, sure. Oh, yeah, he's talking in this movie. I bet it's a big moment like toward the end where he just like looks at Din Djarin and says, this is the way. And then we all, it'll be like so exciting. And it'll be just one of those like feel good moments. Why would she spoil that here?
Right.
And I almost prefer her lying about it as opposed to saying, well, I can't tell you that, because then she's covering something up. So
right.
So for her to just basically say he never says a word. Now leave me alone. You pesky Variety reporter.
Now, do you think when we do hear Baby Yoda talk for the first time that it will be actually an effect, or do you think there will be some stunt casting thrown in? I sort of cringe at the thought of, I don't know what middle-of-the-road comedian they might just toss in there as the voice of Grogu.
Or they should use that synthesized James Earl Jones voice that they use for Darth Vader. Just, strip it of like the mechanical sounds and the filters they put on it and just have it be straight up James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones.
And the only thing he says is, "What?" That's it. That's it. That's the only thing he says. There it is. But, Kathy Kennedy, she's not going to spoil this. This is a really just like in-your-face kind of question. And, of course, she's going to, she doesn't dance around it. She doesn't withhold her answer. She just flat out will lie. And we know that that's Kathy's M.O. And she does it and doesn't, she never apologizes for it.
Well, no one calls her out on it.
Nobody calls her out on it. Well, Kathy, you said, nobody does that.
Right.
Because they all want to continue working at these film studios that they're at. So, because she'll make one phone call and that could ruin your whole career.
She has that kind of power for sure.
So I'm still predicting we will hear Baby Yoda speak in the Mando movie.
We're holding out hope on that. Okay, let's get to the big one here, the one that it seemed like the whole internet was talking about, and rightly so, Harrison Ford's incredible moment. Very few dry eyes in the house, including his own. And I think a very rare and vulnerable moment for Harrison Ford, this acceptance speech for the 32nd annual SAG Awards, where he was given the 2026 Lifetime Achievement Award. By the way, there's a really nice, 30-minute interview between Harrison Ford and Sean Astin. I don't know if you saw that, but Sean Astin is now the president of the Screen Actors Guild, just like his mother, Patty Duke, was for a good long time, I think back in the 80s. And so Sean, who we've had here on Rebel Force Radio before, got to sit down with Harrison the morning of the big event and talk to him. And Sean does a really good job. You can tell that he's a great admirer of Harrison Ford, but he also keeps it about the work and the profession of being an actor. And it's a real nice interview. So, Jim,
where can you find this?
It's on the official SAG YouTube channel is where I saw it. Yeah.
All right, interesting. I didn't know anything about that.
Clips.
Harrison has been making the rounds a little bit. He appeared with Jimmy Kimmel this week. He did the Sean Astin interview, and we have a clip of him on NPR's long-running talk show Fresh Air, hosted by Terry Gross. We'll get to that in a minute. But first and foremost, we want to hear Harrison Ford making his speech upon receiving the SAG Life Achievement Award. I think they just call it the Actors Awards now. I don't think
the
they
Actors
call it
Awards.
Screen Actors Guild. I don't think they call it that anymore. They just call it the Actors. It doesn't quite have the ring to it like the SAG Awards do, but hey, it's their choice, whatever they want to do. Maybe they should, one day it'll just be like the AI Bot Awards, It'll be a bot receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award. How does that work? But it works for Harrison Ford. The man is he's 82 years old, and he still moves around pretty well. He still looks really good. He still has hair like George.
Yeah.
They still have that full head of hair. God bless him. And Harrison got up on stage, and you saw he was sitting out in the crowd with Callista Flockhart, his wife. And when they did the presentation for him, he was presented with the award by another Star Wars alum, Woody Harrelson. And Harrison and Woody are really tight. I bet you can guess why.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I'll bet he's a customer of Harrelson's own.com.
Oh, wait, let me write that down. Harrelson's.com. Got it. But so Harrison, you could tell, you could see the emotion on Callista's face as Harrison got up. And Harrison kind of let it all sink in at first and sat there for a second and kind of bathed in the applause, and then he slowly made his way up to the stage. He still moves around okay. I was watching him real closely. I'm like, is he going to have trouble getting up those steps like most 82-year-olds? But he got up there, He didn't run up them, but...
any stumbling might have not been from age. I think...
again. So,
yeah.
So let's hear his Lifetime Achievement Award speech.
To be clear, I also am quite humbled. I'm in a room of actors, many of whom are here because they've been nominated to receive a prize for their amazing work. Well, I'm here to receive a prize for being alive.
That's great. That's great.
He landed that delivery real well too. He hit that,
He sure
did the pause, and then he said "being alive" and just kind of raised his eyebrows like, I'm just as surprised as you are. He's probably
classic Harrison Ford. All right.
Yeah.
That said, it is a little weird to be getting a Lifetime Achievement Award at the half point of my career. It's a little early, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm still a working actor. I was not an overnight success. I struggled for about 15 years, going from acting job to carpentry and back to acting, until I finally got a part in a wildly successful film. None of this happened on my own. Thank you, George Lucas. Thank you, Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, he gives proper props.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yeah. It's a tremendous speech. Have you ever heard the story that he tells about meeting with the head of one of the new talent division at the studio that he was signed to? Harrison Ford was one of the last actors signed under the old studio system, where if you signed with them, you could only do films for them. And I guess they brought him in and said that you're just never going to make it, kid. You're never going to make it, because let me tell you, the first time that I ever saw Tony Curtis on the screen, he was playing a grocery clerk. And when I saw him, I said, that is a movie star. And Harrison Ford looked at the executive and said, I thought you were supposed to look at him and say, that is a grocery clerk.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he stuck with it, and that's
Sure
what
did.
happens in Hollywood. A lot of people get filtered out. Especially, he said 15 years,
Yeah.
So, and that all adds up. He started acting, in the mid-'60s, and Star Wars became a big hit in 77. So he was really kind of floundering throughout that whole period, just taking, again, being part of the studio system and the contract he signed, they would just assign him the movies. It's not like, somebody would call his agent and pitch him on the movie. No, he would show up at the studio in the morning and they would say, well, you're going to be in this Western, or you're going to be a doctor in the background of this movie, or whatever. And Harrison just went along with all that. And then Star Wars changed his life, obviously.
Yeah.
But he was a real, just a face in the crowd for the first part of his career.
I think a lot of us have seen that clip of him. It's famous now as the bellhop in that movie from, it's late 60s, and kind of has that kitschy 60s look. I think he just has one line. He's got a telegram he's delivering or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then he famously made a cameo in Apocalypse Now, but that was after he was famous. It's just a real small role at the beginning of the film where he's giving Martin Sheen his marching orders, and his name, it says right there on his army fatigues, he is Colonel Lucas. So, and that was Coppola kind of giving George a little nod, because George, of course, was one of the key guys developing Apocalypse Now in its early days. He was attached to direct it. It was written by John Milius, and it was supposed to be directed by George Lucas. And they spent a lot of time working on that. But then George he had American Graffiti, big success there, and then he went right into Star Wars. And so that made it so he couldn't direct Apocalypse Now, but the script was owned by Coppola's company, American Zoetrope, and so Coppola was hurting for cash, as he famously does, and
Yes.
he decided he would make Apocalypse Now, and he almost completely lost everything making that movie, including
Jim,
his sanity.
Can you imagine George going through that? I don't think George could have survived it.
It would have been a very different movie.
Yeah, it probably would have had a different cast. Yeah, so you wouldn't have necessarily had Brando in there.
Yeah,
driving everybody crazy, going after his ice cream.
Right, and the length of the shoot, and going out to where did they shoot that? In the Philippines or somewhere? But just it was just really a strenuous experience for everyone. There's a great making of Apocalypse Now movie called Hearts of Darkness, and it's so worth watching. I mean. There's parts of, it's as good a documentary as Apocalypse Now is a film.
Yeah.
So
I've not sat down and watched it. It's been in my queue forever. And this might be the little prodding that I need to get. I just did a really satisfying rewatch of Godfather Parts 1 and 2 and really took my time with it in about 45-minute chunks each night. And because I don't want to be sleepy or tired or anything. And gosh almighty, there's a reason why those two movies are classics. But Francis Ford Coppola, what a genius. Absolute genius.
The all-time greatest.
Yeah.
The all-time greatest. And that's the only time Coppola and Harrison Ford ever worked together was on Apocalypse Now, as far as I know. I mean, maybe there's something I'm missing here, but I don't believe Harrison ever acted. He never had he was never in the main cast of a Coppola film.
No, definitely not.
No. Peggy Sue got married without Harrison Ford. and
I forgot that Coppola did that movie. My gosh, what a departure.
Peggy Sue got married. Yeah. It was. Francis has all kind of great flicks. And they are vastly different from each other, it seems, when you think about like a film like The Outsiders,
right,
which was an adaptation of a novel, and Francis just nailed that movie. God, did he nail it. So vastly different from something like, a movie about teenagers growing up in Tulsa in the 60s is vastly different than a New York crime family,
right,
sprawling generations. It's just a vastly different type of film. And Coppola's always shown that incredible versatility.
Oh, you know what? I do have a correction.
What?
Harrison Ford did appear in the Coppola film The Conversation.
Oh, see,
with Gene Hackman.
That was like almost on the tip of my tongue. I almost said, I think he was in The Conversation. Why don't I just spit it out?
Yeah.
Why don't I just
trust your
spit it out?
instincts? But so I haven't seen that film, so I don't know if that's a major role. He played Martin
I don't think
Steck,
so.
an assistant to the company director.
Yeah.
And that was 1974, so we're talking,
Right.
early before Star Wars, obviously.
Yeah, it was a very minor role. So, wow. That's really interesting. And best of luck to Francis. He's broke again. So we might have to do like you fund it or something.
Go fund me for Coppola. Yeah. Well, the poor guy's having to sell off his multi-million-dollar watch collection. So he's going to have to depart with some of those Rolexes and those Omegas that he wears. But, can't take it with you.
You see him, he's wearing like an Apple Watch next time we see him with like the same band it comes with.
Yeah.
It's like he didn't even change the band. It's like, wow, Francis, he's drinking wine out of a box, stuff like that. Just absurd things that you would never see Francis do. He's doing
whenever
that.
you hear about these, pretty wealthy guys really hitting rock bottom, it's not like, Jim, if you or I hit rock bottom.
Right. Right. Somehow they still own their mansions.
Right,
unless you're Mickey Rourke. Of course.
Oh, God. Or Red Fox. Do you remember that video of the IRS coming and taking everything from poor Red Fox? He was just in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just left him in his underwear, I think.
There's such a thin line between fiction and reality when it comes to Red Fox and Fred Sanford.
Well, yeah, right.
he basically became Fred, I guess, for a little while. But so just to continue with Harrison Ford, as I said, he appeared on NPR's Fresh Air, and he was there to promote Shrinking. But there was a little discussion about Star Wars, and the interviewer, Terry Gross, asked Harrison what he thought about Star Wars the first time he saw it.
I was blown away. I mean, I was really shocked by the power of the film when I saw it. We shot in England, and our English crew were not used to something like Star Wars, and so they were pretty sure that it was going to be a disaster, and we weren't far from that opinion ourselves, the actors.
Except for Mark. Mark knew it was going to be a hit.
Yeah, I think Carrie. It was like the American crew believed in George. Mm-hmm. The British crew did not. Yeah. And they would even do silly things to sabotage him by, taking tea breaks as the cameras are rolling, Oh, Lord. George be like, okay, and action. And then somebody would roll in a cart with tea and little sandwiches, and then everybody would just walk away,
Meanwhile, this poor man is having nervous breakdowns.
Right. He's cutting his own hair off. And, these English crew, and they were like laughing at him. They were being very judgmental about his directorial style and just the concepts and the visuals of what they were seeing with Peter Mayhew running around in a fursuit and all of this. They didn't get it. And, it's just all of these little adversarial things that were standing in George's way as he was trying to complete that original film, just make it a more incredible achievement at the end of the day, because he was fighting an uphill battle the whole way through. And yet we ended up with an amazing American classic.
Yeah.
That's something I'll push back on, is when some people go, well, Star Wars is actually a British film because it was shot in England and with a British crew and everything. And I was like, no, wait a second now. The actors, the key core cast were American, except for Alec Guinness. It was written by an American. It was produced by an American. The special effects were all produced in America. And the crew tried to sabotage the film by not believing in George's vision one bit. And
they certainly don't get to claim it now.
Yeah, now now it's all like, oh yeah, I knew it was going to be great the second we walked onto the set. But, sabotage is a strong word to use, but they just were not supportive at all of George's vision. And so I say that, no, you don't get any claim on it being a British film. It's 100% an American film. And it's an American film classic. Don't you forget that. So you can write to me to argue that fact, show at rebelforceradio.com. I welcome any feedback to that. So that's our Harrison Ford tribute to
God bless
him receiving a
well
Lifetime
deserved.
Achievement Award. I mean, he's the greatest, Harrison Ford. The coolest.
All right. This is a little bit of additional Sam Witwer interview highlights. This from a different podcast. This is the Pod of Rebellion, which is kind of one of those rewatch podcasts. It's like the Star Wars version of Office Ladies, where some of the cast of Star Wars Rebels I think they go through each episode, do they not? And then they bring in guests who were a part of that particular episode. There's a core bunch of them. And so they recently had Sam Witwer on. And so, Jim, is this Sam talking about the new series, or is this Sam doing a sort of a commentary on his performance in a episode of Rebels?
No, this is specifically him talking about Maul Shadow Lord.
Okay.
Very specifically. I wanted to make, I don't want to do a retrospective of Sam's career as Darth Maul. I want to talk about the things I want to hear about the things that are happening right now. And Maul Shadow Lord is it. One of the co-hosts of this show is Vanessa Marshall, who is voicing Rook Cast on the show, and she was extremely reluctant to talk at all about Maul Shadow Lord. So you won't hear her at all. You're only going to hear Sam. Yeah, she was very reluctant.
She afraid of the Lucasfilm police?
Yeah, she flat out says, we're not supposed to be talking about this show. She flat out says that.
And Sam just keeps going,
Well, Sam's the star of the thing, so he figures, what are they going to do? Re-record everything for Darth Maul with a different voice? No, they're not going to. And so Sam, but he understands the routine. Sam's a Star Wars veteran, and he knows he's not going to cross a line. And I think you can even hear himself occasionally pull back a little bit. But there's some meat on the bone here, no question about it. And the first thing Sam is going to talk about in this clip is Darth Maul himself and what Darth Maul is searching for at the beginning of the series and throughout the season.
What's good about it is that we know where it goes. So we go, okay, well, we know, and I'm not even talking about just in a plot way. I'm talking about character-wise, because the Maul in Rebels was a guy who, when we meet him, he's at the end of his rope and probably a little bit crazy. He's a pretty sad, forlorn, lonely individual. That's not who he was in Clone Wars. And so this is an interesting opportunity to create a different version of the character, which we did for Rebels and Clone Wars. So this is its own thing. And we've done it in such a way that if you don't know Star Wars, if you don't know Maul, you can watch this show and you'd fit right in. Doesn't matter. Like, we introduce the character. We actually give him a proper introduction. And, at first we're getting a lot of other people's opinions and views of him, and then as we go on, we get deeper and deeper into his head, because he needs to be a point of view character in this as well.
The many moods of Maul. Yeah, a man of many faces, many phases of his life as a Star Wars character. There's not many Star Wars characters that have had such a prolific and long-standing, or cast such a long shadow. Literally long in terms of the number of years that they have been a figure, and it just keeps unraveling as this character develops. But so this is connective tissue. We've got the Maul from the Clone Wars, we've got the Maul from Rebels, and this is Sam's chance to create that in-between version.
Right, they refer to it as the middle part of his story from time to time. I don't know if we'll hear them do that in any of these clips, but it did come up in the conversation a few times about how we're kind of being dropped into the middle of the Darth Maul story. We know how it begins, we know how it ends, but there's this part here that's a mystery as far as his overall story goes. And then Sam also mentions we get reintroduced to the character, which I think is great because, as we've talked about on this show before, that there's a chunk of it that's missing from animation due to the fact that the Clone Wars was canceled. And that material ended up in the Dark Horse comic called Son of Dathomir. And that features Rook Cast and the Mandalorians busting Darth Maul out of prison and his attempt to reignite the Shadow Collective. That stuff's never been told in animation, and I think that's a gaping hole. So I think the reintroduction of Darth Maul as a character will feature at least more explanation about that period of time than they've provided thus far in animation, or provide us with flashbacks, small flashbacks that fill in those voids. It could be. So I'm hoping for flashbacks. Actually.
Yeah, me too. I know
it's not
we've been promised that for so long, and we know it exists, and we've been able to read it in the comic. It'd be really nice to see it done finally.
And if they reintroduce Maul, they explain what happened, how he got out of prison, all of that stuff. And then if you want to know more, you can go and read that comic book. But if there was ever a comic book that required an animated counterpart, it's Son of Dathomir, no question about it. And I'm surprised they haven't adapted it. I really am. But you know how Lucasfilm is, they paint themselves into a corner. Well, we can adapt it. It's already been adapted as a comic book. And so, well, that's not good enough. Okay. And remember when Kathleen Kennedy said that they had no source material.
Oh, remember that. Yeah, it's not like we have, in Marvel where you've got years and years of stories. What?
Kathy? We have the guys from Dark Horse Comics on line 3. They want to talk to you.
Yeah.
Tell them I'll call them back. All right. So here's more Sam. He explains a little bit more about that reintroduction that I was just talking about.
There were a good number of people that let him down. There was a whole plan when the war was coming to an end of how they were all going to survive and protect themselves, the Shadow Collective. And that plan completely fell apart. So the first order of business, as Rook would tell you, is to make sure that we visit upon them, let's just call it justice. A little justice needs to be doled out here and there to make sure people understand that we're still here and we're not to be messed with. And then in the midst of all of that, Maul is pretty, is a pretty solitary individual. And I think he feels like he has perhaps some wisdom to pass on to the next generation. So would he like an apprentice? Yeah, I think he would. I think he'd like an apprentice.
Here's something you just got to admire about Sam Witwer. And this is not the case with all voice actors. I don't think anybody understands, as a voice actor, their character and knows the history of that character and can recite it backwards and forwards like Sam Witwer. He never disappoints when he is being interviewed about Darth Maul. And I've heard him riff about Starkiller too. I mean, he can go on about that, but the dude knows his stuff. Absolutely.
No question about it. So it sounds like with the reintroduction of Maul, we're also going to learn about the people who burned him along the way and how they did it, why they did it, and then we'll actually see Maul seeking revenge on them.
Little vengeance, yeah.
Yeah. So that will be a lot of fun. And that creates a great foundation for season 1 already. But creating the show itself is difficult because we've talked about this. We're going to be rooting for the antagonist. How does that happen? I mean, we're pulling for the bad guy now. That's a different thing for Star Wars. A lot of us kind of silently root for Darth Vader, sure, but I think we're all team Luke Skywalker when it comes to a showdown between Luke and Darth. At least you should be.
Yes.
I don't know how much that's changed, though, with younger generations being introduced to Anakin and things like the Clone Wars and in the prequels. He's such a hero that maybe younger fans can actually root for Darth Vader in a way that us original trilogy generation people can't understand.
Isn't that like watching Jaws and rooting for the shark? I mean, it's just, how do you do that?
But what if the shark was a guppy in an earlier incarnation of their lives, I mean, you can't root against a guppy, I mean, or a little goldfish or something. But Sam talks about how it is a challenge to create a show centered around the bad guy.
It is one of the harder projects I've ever done because his psychology, here's the thing. You're doing a Star Wars show that's named after a villain. But as a Star Wars fan, I don't want to watch a show where a guy's just going around hurting people. So how do you navigate all that? Well, for one thing, what helps is we have all these new characters that are so interesting and layered, and some of them are very good people. So we have some balance to the Force in our show. But then the other thing is that Maul has to be interesting. He's not a one-note guy. He's got to be, the Maul that we discover in this show has long since distinguished himself from Palpatine, meaning Palpatine's like a 10 out of 10 for villainy, right? He's as bad as you get. That guy is a bad guy. Don't go have coffee with him. Don't hang out with him. He's a bad guy. Don't let him fix your car. Nothing good can come of it. Maul, Darth Vader, for example, he's like a 9.98 out of 10 for villainy, unless you happen to be Luke Skywalker, right? Maul at this point is like an 8.5. Extraordinarily dangerous. Really, really bad guy. But he's drawn a few lines where he's like, yeah, that's what Sidious would do. I wouldn't do that. I'm better than that. And that's where I think it's interesting. He is a very, very bad guy, but he's an 8.5. And so it's bad guys versus worse guys. So very hard show to make.
Boy, this continuum of villainy in Star Wars has really got me thinking. So if Sidious is a 10 and Vader is a 9 and Maul's on the 8 scale. By the way, never talk about women like Sam's talking about Star Wars villainy. You don't want to say 8.5. You don't want to say 9.2. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's bad form. Where would an Asajj Ventress show up?
Oh, wow. She's probably like a 5, you know.
Asajj, she's kind of holding the middle zone right there.
Asajj was trained as a Jedi in her youth.
Right. True.
So I think that instantly applies a little bit of light to her. You know, she's not all inherently evil. And so she couldn't even compete with the Darth Maul, you know, as far as being bad.
Right. And we've seen her help people. We saw her help Omega.
Yes.
We've seen her help. Wasn't there in the... Was it in the... Her backstory, Tales of.
Yeah, Tales of the Underworld, I think it was called.
She was helping somebody there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then you got a guy like Boba Fett, which we're going to talk here a bit about Temeura Morrison in a moment in Boba Fett. But where would he fit on Sam's scale of 1 to 10 of villainy?
Well, it's hard to say with Boba Fett because he'd always been someone for hire, so he would just go to the highest bidder. So they're the ones determining his morality. You know, it's the paycheck.
Yeah. The client.
So So he doesn't even that doesn't even cross his mind, you know. He just gets hired and has a job to do and he gets the job done. It has nothing to do with good or bad. It's just get the job done and get paid. It's
he
all
can't
about
afford
that
to have morality. He's a working man trying to make his way in the universe.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I've never thought about the continuum of villainy that Sam points out. It's definitely going to be keeping me thinking. But we've heard him say this line before, Jim, that it's a battle of bad guys and worse guys. And that seems to be the way he's characterizing this series and this challenge of building a show around a quote-unquote villain.
Yes. A lot to think about. We're only 3.5 weeks away. The show debuts on April 6th. That's a Monday. I'm curious to know, is this a thing that's going to be dropping at like 2 a.m. on Monday the 6th? Or is it going to have a prime time drop, which we've been enjoying with Star Wars, but not in the animation area. So
no, Bad Batch would be there first thing in the morning, I feel like.
Yeah.
I'd wake up and that episode would be there.
So, yeah, we might be dealing with some early Monday mornings.
Yeah.
If you want to avoid spoilers, that's what I always say to people. You can't blame the internet for spoiling it for you. If you really care about this stuff, you get up with the rooster crowing and you get down there and you start watching with your cup of coffee. You know, don't even brush your teeth. Just get right to it, you know?
Yeah, dirty breath and all. Just sit there and breathe your nastiness while you're watching the first episode of Maul. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, breathe your nastiness. That's going to be the next RFR t-shirt. Breathe your nastiness, Rebel Force Radio. So definitely looking forward to Maul Shadow Lord and really excited about the after show coming back. And looking forward to everyone joining us and hearing from those familiar voices and getting Blake's take and all of that. So that's coming up next month. what apparently we still are completely left in the dark about those 3 films Kathleen Kennedy announced at Star Wars Celebration 2023 in London. She announced 3 films: James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi, the Rey film directed by Shabin Obaid Bading,
Shabin Obaid Shinoy, yes,
and the Dave Filoni Mandoverse movie.
Yes.
Well, we haven't really heard anything about any of those for a while. The James Mangold film, it's been over a year since we got any legitimate information about it being in production. And then Kathleen Kennedy in her exit interview with Deadline mentioned that the film, a complete script was turned in by Beau Willimon, who wrote on Andor. And it was a really good script, but it was outside the box. And we know that in the case of Disney being very risk adverse these days, outside the box and Star Wars are 2 phrases that don't go together very well. So I think maybe 2 outside the box is what I'm thinking about Dawn of the Jedi. And remember Beau Willimon, I mean, he wrote some pretty gritty stuff for Andor. And maybe his stuff was just a little too gritty for the guys at Disney. So it doesn't sound like it really has legs at this point. And then earlier this week, industry insider Jeff Snyder was asked about the status of James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi film on his podcast, The Hot Mic with John Rocha, and he provided this update.
Is the James Mangold directed Dawn of the Jedi dead? Bo was set to co-write it after Andor. I think everything Star Wars is dead, except for that Kinberg trilogy. Even the Rey movie, I think, is kind of dead. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
Oh, God. I haven't asked yet. I haven't asked my source, but I've heard that is true.
See? Yeah, I knew it.
I heard this week, actually. Like I just heard it that it's like dead.
Wow.
But I haven't asked, so I can't say that conclusively.
Right.
It doesn't sound good.
No, it feels to me like everything is dead except for that Kinberg trilogy.
I think Mangold is focused on that Timothée Chalamet heist movie, is what I think. And I think that Swamp Thing could be after that.
Okay. Now, remember that Bob Iger was the guy that forced Lucasfilm's hand to get a Mandalorian and Grogu film out in the theater. And that was just a matter of months after Kathleen Kennedy announced this slate of films. So it actually makes sense to me that all 3 of these are dead, because I don't think they certainly didn't have Bob Iger's approval. I don't think he would have made such a statement by kind of announcing his own films on that call and really just kind of taking all the steam away from Kathleen Kennedy making her announcements. And who knows? I mean, this could have been, maybe this was around the time that they had turned down the Ben Solo movie, and there could have been some issues about trust issues and some relationships breaking down, and Bob was like, I got to get a hold of this. They're sending me stories about this guy coming back to life. Now we've got another Rey movie. Nobody cares about Rey. This Filoni guy, I don't know about him. He's not tested. We don't even have Mando on the big screen. What are they talking about announcing that film? And this James Mangold, we're not happy with the way the last Indiana Jones movie did. This is crazy. Let's go with what works. And we know Mandalorian and Grogu is a hit. Let's put that out.
Yeah.
Could be the way
it
went down.
It could be simple as that. And the timeline of when the Ben Solo movie fell apart was at the end of 2024. And that's when I think a lot of this stuff all fell apart. What happened with Mangold is, from what we understand, the whole concept of Dawn of the Jedi was hatched at that Star Wars celebration. It was so fresh. And Mangold expressed interest in it. And so Kathy just ran with it. She said, well, I'm going to announce it then. And he's like, yeah, go ahead.
She's
sure,
like, when?
You know?
She's like, in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going up on stage right now. But so she announced that one. The Charmin Obeid Chinoy is an interesting one, though, because that one went through so many different writers. And again, the last legitimate update we got was last year, early in the year, that George Nolfi was working on that script. And that was the last we heard of that. That was also the last time we heard anything about the Mangold film before Kathleen Kennedy's recent comments in her exit interview. And the Filoni film, we haven't heard anything about. It was just like
nothing.
Well, the guy's making Ahsoka season 2, so let's just leave that alone for now.
I think he might have been asked about it once, Jim, and it was just, yeah, it's very exciting, interesting.
Yeah.
Always in motion is the future. Like, that was his, I think those were the only things he ever said about that movie.
He mentioned something about having an opening sequence in mind, maybe, if I recall correctly. But I'm not sure. I mean, and maybe he made those comments at Star Wars Celebration Japan last year. But again, there's been no sound of that either. So I think a lot of this stuff fell off the priority list in late 2024, early 2025. By September 2025, Mangold had signed a bajillion-dollar deal with Paramount Pictures to develop films for them. And last I checked, Paramount does not own the Star Wars IP. Bo Willimon turned in a script, and now he's been assigned to the Game of Thrones film. So he's moved on. And Mangold, and so this deal with Paramount, you heard industry insider Jeff Snyder, which rhymes, by the way. Industry insider Jeff Snyder. It works. Jeff needs to embrace that a little more. Maybe come up with a theme song based on those lyrics, and that's my gift to him.
Yeah.
Just
industry
that
insider
idea.
Snyder.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Or industry in Snyder.
Now you're talking. Now you're talking.
Take out. Well, I'm married to a Snyder, so I'm always thinking Snyder. But so with Bo Willimon now off on the Game of Thrones thing, and Mangold, he's developing this heist film with Timothée Chalamet, the same guy he worked with on the Bob Dylan film. So they've developed a little bit of a collaborative companionship, and. Then there's always this Swamp Thing movie we've been hearing about for years.
Which is that officially part of the DCU? I don't think so. But I mean, Swamp Thing is a DC character.
Yes, yeah. But I think it's this film is going to be just like Swamp Thing universe, not necessarily DC universe. Because that's interesting. The Swamp Thing project that Mangold has been attached to, it apparently has survived the turnover at DC with James Gunn taking control of the creative direction for all DC films. So it appears that they may have survived. Or may not,
Well, that whole thing is on shaky ground because Warner Brothers has new ownership.
That's right.
With Paramount, and then yeah.
So maybe James Mangold and Timothée Chalamet will make a DC film of some kind.
Yeah. And the word is that I mean Paramount is not over the moon about James Gunn's DCU plans. So.
Yeah, so that he could be a short-lived head of DC. I personally like James Gunn and would like to see him stick around, or if he wants to leave DC and come over to Star Wars. I don't know. Some people might have some firm opinions about that, but I see potential there.
Sure. Like I said, I'm just wanting some grown-ups to show up over there.
Well, and what they were revealing here is that they believe the only project that's really still got any juice at Lucasfilm that was a Kathy Kennedy era the idea or concept is the Simon Kinberg trilogy, which is said to be including Rey.
Mm-hmm.
And so apparently the race for Rey was won by Simon Kinberg, and his trilogy is still getting developed. But a lot is riding on these next two films.
Yeah.
Mando movie and Starfighter will really determine what direction this franchise is going in, and hopefully put an end to this throw everything up against the wall to see what will stick kind of approach they've been taking to Star Wars storytelling. So we shall see. But there's one show that's definitely not coming back anytime soon.
Oh, no. Yeah.
All right, for those listening to the audio podcast, Jason just put up a black and white photo, a really silly photo of Tim Morrison. He's probably doing one of those haka dances he does that the Maoris do, and so he's probably doing that.
When I read the quote that we're going to have here in a minute, Tim talks about saying stupid things, and I saw this picture and I just thought, well, this looks like a guy that might say stupid things. Certainly not making fun of Tim. He's definitely a self-deprecating guy and has a lot of fun and doesn't take himself too seriously, as noted by the photo. But Jim, it wasn't that long ago that we covered a story about Tim making an appearance at a convention and talking about how the character of Boba Fett had been shelved, and if I remember right, there were two things I remember. I remember him sitting there signing Funko Pops, a mountain of Funko Pops, and he was talking about Boba. That was the first time I heard him saying Boba Fett is on the shelf. It was like, yeah, like these Funko Pops back here. And then there was another convention where he was actually doing a panel, and I think that was the one where he said he was encouraging fans that wanted to see more Boba Fett to let Disney know. Or let Lucasfilm know. Let the powers that be at Lucasfilm know. He says, I'm sure they'd love to hear from everyone. So he says, please give Daniel Logan and Temeura Morrison another chance and put them somewhere. Well, I guess Lucasfilm wasn't too happy about that.
No.
Because Tim said that he goes, well, he says, I was only joking. I'm at a convention and I say stupid things. He says, then I got Lucasfilm ringing me saying, look, you've been put on the shelf, Boba Fett. We might open up the jar later. That just sounds like Tim Morrison. Look, you've been put on the shelf, Boba Fett. We might open the jar later, But what's interesting here is that Lucasfilm rang him up. And basically, I'm sure, read him the riot act. Like, you cannot be riling up the fans and asking them to send letters. Because I'm sure they got lots of letters and lots of phone calls or whatever it was, emails.
Mostly from Daniel Logan.
from different email accounts. It's just Daniel. So I guess they didn't really see the humor in it. And Tim's like, hey, I was just joking. I say stupid things. And I guess not everybody has the same sense of humor as Tim Morrison. But I got to tell you, I know we've gone back and forth and talked about the idea of Boba showing up in the Mandalorian and Grogu film. I don't believe it's going to happen. But I really liked this tribe of characters that he's met along the way, from Fennec Shan to the whole Mandoverse, and Boba, obviously, and to see them show up, even just little cameos, wouldn't bother me at all. Or maybe Mando needs some help with the Hutts, so he goes and pays a visit to old Boba there, and who's overseeing the Jabba crime family. I don't know. I think there's room for that. I don't really like the way myself that Tim's being treated here. And actually the loss of the character of Boba Fett. I know some people don't feel it because Mando has sort of replaced Boba Fett. And that's something else that Tim Morrison has certainly made clear, his beliefs, which might also be why he's kind of on the naughty list with Lucasfilm. but I don't necessarily like the fact that Boba is just on the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
I think he deserves better.
Well, and the Book of Boba Fett itself, I believe, was promised to Tem to be a multi-season deal. And it was going to continue, and they left it open-ended as far as Timothy Oliphant's character, Cobb Vanth, goes.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he was shot by Cad Bane, and they put him in the Bacta tank. And we don't know if he had survived that or what the status is of Mos Pelgo.
Right.
And, they're on Tatooine because, of course, Cobb Vanth was the sheriff who protected the town. And that was left very open-ended. But I think Tem said that according to, fan reaction was a little muted as far as the positivity goes. And Lucasfilm took note of that and decided not to revisit the Book of Boba Fett for a second season. I think if you get some quality writers in there and maybe a different directorial staff, you'd end up with a better product. But it was maybe just a little too comic booky and a little too herky-jerky with the flashbacks.
Right.
And we come into the series with the baggage of knowing the character of Boba Fett in the way that we have over all these years, and they made drastic changes to that character, both in flashbacks and present-day situations where he's trying to become this daimyo of Mos Espa, and we don't know why he necessarily wants that to begin with. And the whole thing with Bib Fortuna, how did Bib Fortuna survive the exploding sail barge? I mean, these are the things that drive me nuts. Same thing with Max Rebo.
Right.
And both of them were their presence was made known in the Book of Boba Fett. So that part I don't get. But that's Star Wars for you. And now it sounds like we're never going to get those holes filled because there's not going to be any more Book of Boba Fett show. It's on the shelf, in a jar even. See, it was bad enough in the old days when George Lucas would say, oh, that's on the shelf. But Lucasfilm, they take it a step further and they put it in a jar. Then they put it on the shelf.
Really lock it away.
So Boba ain't getting any oxygen whatsoever, much to Tem Morrison's chagrin. I personally think that if they ever going to bring back Boba Fett, they need to recast and maybe keep the helmet on a little more, maybe keep the dialogue a little to a little less of a regular, shrink the volume of the dialogue, keep that helmet on him, get somebody younger in there and more athletic. Because, I mean, I'm not saying Tem's not an athlete. He's in great shape, but he is in his mid-60s now.
Yeah.
And it certainly showed 5 years ago in the Book of Boba Fett. And he was younger then. So, I mean, there was just kind of a rotund Boba Fett. And
I'm spread Boba Fett.
That's it, middle-aged spread. And hey, listen, I marched right by Tem's side as far as dad bod goes, I'm right there with you, Tem. We're not in our 20s or 30s anymore. But still, you don't see me suiting up in Mandalorian armor. Okay? Tem does, and he gets paid handsomely to do so.
Not in the daylight hours.
I would like to see them revisit the character of Boba Fett and recast, have a younger actor in there, and feature Boba Fett in his prime as a bounty hunter in the Imperial era, if you're going to revisit the character.
I'd love to see Daniel Logan. We joke, but I'd love to see Daniel Logan get a crack at it. Why not?
And Logan is in incredible shape, both physically and mentally these days.
Mm-hmm.
He's really impressed me on how focused he's become on just being a healthy guy.
Yeah.
He always has been, but I mean his dedication to I think it's being a family man suits Daniel Logan very well.
Yeah.
And it's presented
really
nothing but positives. Nothing but positives for him personally. So God bless him. So maybe he'll come back as Boba Fett. You never know. But I think a recast and a reimagination of what they're doing with the character and what era the character is being presented in, I think that really needs to be readdressed.
All right, do we want to get into this, or do we want to leave them hanging till next week?
Well, let's leave them hanging, because we are out of time.
Sorry, we're going to get to the outrageous, unthinkable story. We'll get to it next week, so that's a little teaser for next week here on Rebel Force Radio.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy Mac's doing his own version of the hookah dance there in honor of Temeura Morrison and his shelved character, Boba Fett. All right. If you need more antics like tonight here on Rebel Force Radio, you can get more of that over at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. Weekly full show video, including this very podcast you're listening to now, plus exclusive podcasts that you can't get anywhere else. Get them on Patreon. And we do have other benefits, like when we do these live shows, like what's coming up in Cleveland on May 23rd. You get first crack at tickets. So thank you so much to the Patreon supporters for moving those pre-sales. We appreciate it. We're also on YouTube. Lots of videos being released all the time. Highlights from this show and others going back into our archives. All of that is on YouTube. So please subscribe, like, and comment today. We're also on the socials. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Follow us at Rebel Force Radio. And, of course, the website for all things and everything, Rebel Force Radio, rebelforceradio.com. So please keep listening. If your podcatcher of choice allows you to leave a review, we love to have that review. Please, one small, simple rule.
Make them good.
Keep letting your friends know about Rebel Force Radio, spreading the word. We know that whenever there's a new Star Wars movie on the horizon, people are out there searching. We hear it all the time. I was excited about the new Star Wars movie, and I just searched Star Wars podcast, and Rebel Force Radio came up, and I've been a listener ever since. So we know that's how it works a lot of times. So please spread the word about Rebel Force Radio. Don't assume that they know about RFR. So that's it. We'll see you next week for a lot more fun and a lot more Star Wars right here on Rebel Force Radio. So until then, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mac.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.
It's like making a movie, only worse.